Thank you, Lisa. Hello, everybody. I'm going to present about verifiable credentials and decentralized identifiers. One moment, please. Is it ready? Okay, just a second. So verifiable credentials and decentralized identifiers are two specs, technical standards from the W3C, which is the World Wide Web Consortium. Decentralized identifiers, or DIDs, became a recommendation of the W3C this past year after a long process. The recommendation is the status of a technical standard coming from the W3C and its consensus process. And verifiable credentials have been a recommendation for over a year now, and there's work going into the next version of it. So these are two different specs, two different standards that are and can be used independently. This talk is about how they can be used together. Also, this presentation and slides were based on a presentation given at W3C TPAC, which is W3C's conference earlier this year by Manu Sporny, who is a member of the working group, both working groups. So, verifiable credentials are a privacy-preserving technology for issuing, storing, and presenting education degrees, government-issued ID cards, shipping container, manifest, certified product information, and other machine-readable credentials. And there's a picture here of a United States of America permanent resident card. All these are examples of use cases, real-world use cases for verifiable credentials. And the common theme is that there's some information that is packaged up and certified or issued by an authority of some kind or entity that's trusted in some contexts, and this information is about a subject, which may be a person or maybe a non-personal entity or object, and then this information is packaged into the verifiable credential data model format and can be transported digitally and can be received and verified to confirm the authenticity of it. Decentralized identifiers are an identifier technology based on cryptography that empowers us to control our personal data and consent to its usage, often paired with verifiable credentials. This is a URI scheme, if you are familiar with URIs, and it starts with DID, and then after that is what's called the DID method, or the DID method. And as was also mentioned in the previous by the previous speakers, there's many different DID methods, and each method has its own spec that determines what the rest of the DID is. In here it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. And each DID method spec determines specifies how to resolve the DID, the entire piece of information here, to a document that contains public keys usually and other information. Deployment and funding. These technologies are being deployed and funded around the world in many different initiatives. There's supply chain applications, a European digital identity wallet, education credentials, age verification for products that require proof of age to purchase, content authenticity, and permanent resident cards and other government use cases. Growing community. There's a lot of people collaborating together to build these technologies and related applications. A lot of it is at W3C because that's where the specs are being developed. Also, two event series that I want to mention here. Internet Identity Workshop, or IIW, takes place in Mountain View, and a lot of these concepts are workshopped and explored at this conference. That's an unconference. It happens twice a year, and it's happening this coming week also. Rebooting the Web of Trust also happens twice a year, most recently in the Netherlands, in The Hague, and next time in Los Angeles, California. IEEE SA Open and Kantara Initiative, there's also good work happening there. Going into this a little bit more, inside W3C there are working groups. If your organization becomes a paying member of W3C, then you can participate in these working groups, or individuals without affiliation can participate as invited experts. Then there's community groups, and these anybody can participate in. You only have to agree to the contributor license agreements to make contributions. So the Credentials Community Group has weekly calls, and these are public and recorded. And then the Verifiable Credentials Working Group and Decentralized Identifiers Working Group are ongoing. And within the Credentials Community Group, or CCG, there's a task force for education use case credentials, and there's a lot of things happening there. More organizations, OpenID Foundation, developing OpenID standards, which have integration with verifiable credentials. Linux Foundation is like a meta foundation that contains other foundations like Decentralized Identity Foundation, or DIF, Hyperledger Foundation with the URSA and Aries projects, Trust over IP Foundation, or TOIP, Open Wallet Foundation, which is most recently created, and Internet Engineering Task Force at IETF, where internet standards are developed, and including the Crypto Research Forum, Crypto Forum Research Group, where cryptography things are done. Join us and help build a web that respects individual privacy, empowers individual consent, and lives up to its full potential. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for bearing with me while I read through these slides. Hope this was useful.
Thank you very much. Questions?
Can you elaborate a bit on the privacy preserving aspects of these credentials? Because it looked to me as if they had things like people's names and pictures on them, which are the examples that you showed. Hold the mic up. Up to what? Up to my face?
So the question...
Could you hear my question? Could you repeat the question?
About privacy. How is there privacy preserving technology in these credentials when there's, for example, people's faces appearing, like on this first slide, I guess. One of the ways is a technique called selective disclosure, where parts of the credential can be withheld by the subject in the case of a credential about a person, and only certain attributes could be revealed at the discretion of the individual or through a negotiated process. Does that make sense? Well, the canonical example, I suppose, is the age verification, where in an establishment where you have to present your a driver's license or something to prove your age or overage to enter a bar or something. Ideally, maybe more ideally, you don't need to reveal the whole license. You just could reveal just the birth date, or just the fact that you're over the age. So that could be an attribute, or a Boolean predicate, if you want to use a mathematical term. Well, there's special types of cryptography called zero-knowledge cryptography that can be used for this, or it can be done through simply having the credential be split into different parts that are each separately signed, and then the holder can select which parts they want to disclose.
Okay. Hey, any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's great.